Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Dayton Reimer and Peter Baracchini. Guys, we're into the playoffs in the CHL. We got the WHL playoffs starting tonight as we're recording. OHL playoffs kicked off yesterday as well. So, I mean, we've got, and the QMJHL playoffs are also going on. So we've got the three leagues going strong into the first round of the playoffs. And lots of draft eligibles in action. And we've got some big performances already in the OHL happening. And the NCAA, which we won't talk too much about in this episode, is also on their march to the Frozen Four with Gavin McKenna prominent in that. As we're recording, they're playing tonight as well. So, lots of stuff going on. So, Dayton, how's it going?
It's good, yeah. Just put out a preview for the Saskatoon Blades series against the Edmonton Oil Kings. Should be a good one. There's I uncovered some weird little history bits about it. Like the WHL used to have a round robin series in the playoffs. Did that for 3 years-ish. There was a couple of times they tried it again, but yeah, in that series, that was the last time the Blades met the Oil Kings in the playoffs. Oh. So there you go.
That's a long time ago. So it's that's a new thing, right? Peter, how's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, like you said, this is when the culmination of the draft year comes to an end with the playoffs. NCAA prospects, U18s are around the corner too. So yeah, this is we say every single event is like a prospect's writer's dream, but this is basically it because this is basically everything coming to an end right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I always say more of a higher stakes you see these prospects getting into, and if they perform, that really showcases that they can step up in these higher pressure situations. And I mean, a lot of the time, it can boost their draft stock as well, especially going to the Memorial Cup and see how they perform there. It's a fun time to be watching these prospects, and everything is kicking off right now. You see the WHL, their series are starting tonight, and lots of not just draft eligibles, but the prospects from the 2025 draft, 2024 before that too. So I mean, lots of prospects to watch. But before we get into just talking a little bit about the playoffs, we got to talk about your rankings, Dayton, because you just released those a couple days ago, I believe, and that was your first ones this year. So let's jump into that and see if there's any differences between yours and Peter's. And Jordan has already put his out, and Andrew's as well. So we got lots of rankings to take a look at. So Dayton, let's jump into your top five.
All right, top five. I feel like it's not crazy different from everyone else, but I kicked it off with Ivar Stenberg. Easily my favorite guy after the World Juniors. I think he's just got such a great, complete game. Reminds me of watching Macklin Celebrini when he was coming up. I don't think they're on the same level, but I think they play a similar style. Number two, Gavin McKenna. He is second, but I think he might have the highest potential at this draft class. The things that he can do just aren't done by anyone else. It's just more so the things that he doesn't do that makes me hesitate slightly. Number three, Chase Reed. He looks really good in the OHL. Really dynamic defenseman. And then followed closely behind by Keaton Verhoff, another fantastic defenseman. I think he just was, in my opinion, the slightest bit behind in terms of skating and maybe offensive presence, but both fantastic defensemen. And then I finished it with a third defenseman, Carson Karls, who I watched a few times this year, and he instantly won me over. He is such a dynamic, all-around presence. He's a great skater, great offensive presence. He looked fantastic in the WHL Top Prospects game. And then watching him live, he could command things from the blue line, and he was involved in every point. He's a really good defenseman. I think he's getting slept on a little bit.
All right, Peter, I know there's a little similarity in that top five to yours, but what do you think about Dayton's top five?
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. I think the only difference was me having Caleb Malhotra at 3 and then Carson Carroll's making it into that top 5, both player swap positioning and everything like that. But I mean, fantastic top 5. I mean, it is coming down to Stenberg and McKenna. It's just I don't want to say anything yet, but as of now, the Vancouver Canucks do have that pick. Anything could happen with the lottery. I'm hoping that they do land it because they got some players in the system, but they could use that first overall pick. Do you want a guy that's ready to come in right now to a pro level, or do you want a guy with that little bit of flash? And I understand Dayton with the hesitation with his play away from the puck, off play physicality, everything like that. We've all seen a little bit of that improvement. We just want to see that consistently a little bit more. So that's kind of fair right now in terms of having him second. It's just what's Vancouver's preference right now. I think that's the main thing. You're going to get a winger, but which kind of player are you going to get? I really like all 3 defenders. I think it's kind of looking like a possibility where you could have at least 2, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. Chase Reed is by far right now the top 1 right now. Mm-hmm. It didn't look. He had his moments during the World Juniors, but throughout the season, he's just been absolutely dominant and a force on the back end. I agree with Verhoff. He hasn't quite pushed them over the top just yet. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe you're looking at Carson Carroll's overtaking Verhoff as well. I know Craig Button has Carroll's as second overall, maybe a little bold, but I could understand why, because he, at every single level, he has elevated and played well. CHL top prospects, WHL. Again, similar to Reed, maybe didn't have the best World Juniors, looked great at times, but he was one of the younger players on the roster. I think that kind of played into a factor, but I really like the fact that Carroll's is in that top 5. I think he can still push in there. It's just now coming down to a matter of preference, I think, and I feel like maybe even when it's all said and done, maybe Verhoff is the one player that gets bumped out of that top 5.
It could definitely happen. I mean, we'll see how he kind of does. He's also in the march to the NCAA in that tournament as well. I mean, we'll see how it all kind of plays out. But I mean, there's so many good defensemen. It seems at that top part there, and different types of defensemen too. So we'll see where, like you say, preference is going to come into it. I think a lot of the time. I know maybe second overall. I don't know. I mean, we could have one of those defensemen go second. I don't think there's going to be one going first overall. I just don't see it. Although, I mean, we've been surprised in the past what teams do. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, Dayton, let's move into the back half of that top 10 there.
Sure. Just before I do, I like that you guys mentioned preference, because I talked about that kind of in my preamble. This draft class, I think, is sort of divided more so by preference than best player available. You're getting guys, I mean, in my opinion, after McKenna and Stenberg are gone, you have a whole bunch of guys who are close. And it's going to kind of come down to, what do you want more? Do you want a high-flying defenseman? There's lots of those available. Do you want a center? Less available, but also some really good ones at the top. Some also really, really fantastic wingers. And then, they're not separated by much, in my opinion. So, who's in the next 5? Number 6, the top center, Caleb Malhotra. I think Peter's converted me a little bit after listening to him talk about him so much. I watched some clips. Yeah, he's fantastic. I like that he could really slow the game down when he got the puck, and it just shows like this real patience and this vision and anticipation. I like that he was playing kind of this extra like chess game. Really, really fun to watch. Number 7, another defenseman, maybe my favorite, even though he's ranked my 4th defenseman, Daxon Rudolph. I think he's being slept on, and I'm working on his draft profile now. Don't skip on this guy for too long, because he's showing that he can be like a top pairing 2-way dynamic defenseman. Everyone was, celebrating Carter Yakimchuk's debut, which was very, very good. Yeah, finished with 2 points in one game, including a great goal and a great set up for another goal. I think we have a similar player in Rudolph, but less defensive liabilities. So take that. Number 8, Tynan Lawrence. I think he's just a little bit lower than Caleb Malhotra. He's adjusting to the NCAA game a little slower than maybe some would want. Still very smart, very quick player. Lots to like about him. Number 9, Viggo Bjork. Couldn't have had a better World Juniors. He is so dynamic. I was impressed that he was throwing big hits, and he's a little guy.
Yeah.
He's 5'10", and he is not afraid to go up to somebody again in the corner or on the boards and just try to lay him out. And sometimes he does. This is, I think, the epitome of a small player who should not be concerned about the size, or at least scouts should not be concerned about the size. Then finally, number 10, yet another defenseman, Albert Schmitz. Another guy who I think has some Carter Yakimchuk similarities, but more so with the lopsided game. I love his offensive game. His defensive game still needs a bit of work. But there's a really high potential with that, especially with what he's been doing in international competition.
Lots of great defensemen in that top 10. So we'll see how many that actually go in the 10, because there's so many up there, and again, that depends on the preference. If teams are going to be going for centers, and there's a couple centers in there. Peter, what do you think about that rest of the top 10? I think there's a few different players in there.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much on Caleb Malhotra. You could read my draft profile on him, because I could talk about him for hours. I do like him at 6. I am going to be disappointed if the Maple Leafs do not get him with that pick, because it needs to be top 5 protected. Basically all these players, I would be disappointed if one of them goes to Boston, because these are one of these players that the Maple Leafs could use. But I do like Malhotra at 6. I think that is fair. I don't think he should be any lower than 6. To me, he's within that like mid-tier range of the top 10. Daxon Rudolph, again, I probably maybe just a little bit lower for me, maybe 8 or 9 in my rankings. But I do like the fact that, Dayton, that you see the similarities in their whole package kind of game. Like, they're jack of all trades defenders. And I really like the poise and composure that he has. I think he's definitely a top 10 player. Lawrence, I feel like that's kind of fair because of that adjustment. It wasn't great, but I do like the details and awareness that he possesses. Even when the points are going in, he's doing a lot of the right things on the ice to succeed. Production will come. I think he'll pop off next year with the experience that he has this year. But right now, I think that's fair. He's still a top 10 guy. Viggo Bjork was just outside the top 10 for me, but I do think that with his play at the SHL in the playoffs, I think he's going to definitely be a top 10. It's kind of nuts in terms of overall play, but like in terms of similarities, Viggo Bjork reminds me of Victor Eklund last year, where he is always engaging. He's always on the attack. And yeah, he may not be the biggest player, and size should not be a factor, but he plays a bigger game than he actually does. So I think that's very warranted of a top 10 selection. And even Albert Smits too, I do have him in my top 10. Again, a lot of inconsistencies, but he's raw and there's a lot of potential, especially the fact that he's playing at the senior level already. I think that's going to resonate with a lot of GMs, that he's able to handle his own, especially against NHL competition at the Olympics. And he's still handling himself well, especially in a little bit more of a competitive league in the DEL as well. So I think that's fair, but kind of similar to my top 10, and I fully agree with it.
We'll see how the top 10 actually shakes out. And I know, Dayton, you always put together at the end at the draft to see where everyone kind of actually were at the end there in reality.
The most accurate hockey writers scout, and a few big names thrown in there just to compare. I think Andrew Forbes was our best last year.
Yeah, so we'll see how it all plays out after the draft, see who's the most accurate this year. All right, Dayton, before we move on, I want to ask him, since there was no previous one, there's no fallers, risers, or whatever, but any other highlights from the rest of your top 64 that you kind of want to highlight a player or someone that you really have high in your list that maybe others don't in their rankings, or anything that you want to kind of just highlight?
Sure. I can point out a few guys here that I was really impressed with. I think overall, I think this is a great defensive class. And so most of the defensemen that I watched, I was really impressed with, and I ranked fairly highly. Ryan Lynn, I put at 11. I really like his game. Xavier Villeneuve at 15. Again, another really good offensive, well, even like two-way defenseman. I think he's got some really good skating. Another guy I really liked, Adam Gollier. He the Slovakian, and he was at the World Juniors. Big, solid player. I thought he had some great movement, despite being also a very large player. And then, who else also stuck out? I think one guy who, maybe I'm a little bit higher on than most, but Gleb Pukachev. I have him at 18. I think that's just above some others. He's so fun to watch. Very hard worker. You always knew when he was on the ice, at least in the clips that I was watching. Very aggressive, putting up good points in the KHL, I believe. I think he's mostly been there. Reminded me of Igor Chernyshov. I think there's some similarities to the hardworking kind of aggressive game that they're playing. And I mean, Chernyshov is playing pretty good right now with the Sharks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Definitely a kid to keep an eye on, I think.
For sure. Peter, did you see anything that kind of maybe surprised you for lower or higher from his rankings there?
Yeah. I may be a little bit higher on Liam Ruck. I know he's at 28th, but I guess there's still a lot of unknown factors to go with it. Like, I know he excels well with his twin brother Marcus. I do feel like I know I have Marcus as well in my first round, but I think maybe he could fall into that second round because the goal scorer is going to get a little bit more attention than the playmaker. But we'll see what happens with that. But I do agree that Liam should be a first round player. I'm wholeheartedly behind that. I'm kind of glad that you have Wyatt Cullen as well. I think there's starting to growing consensus where maybe he's going to be a late first rounder because of the fact that, he had some ups and downs too. I believe he also dealt with an injury as well. But I do like the fact that even on a not so strong U18 team, he always seems to be the best player and stands out the most. And I really enjoyed his game during that CHL USA Top Prospect Showdown. I thought he was fantastic in both games. I thought he made stuff happen and even got involved quite a bit. Really someone to keep an eye on as the season progresses, but I do like him in the first round. I feel like Jackson Cover could be a little bit higher up. I know there's still a little bit of rawness to his game, but I feel like Cover, as well as a few other London Knights, have really developed well. And I think he's basically the top London Knight for me this year. And even Maddox Dagenet too. I know we've talked about preference too. Even the power forward game, I feel like even if he's not a first rounder, I think Dayton, you have him
51st.
51st? I mean, it's well within the middle. I maybe a little bit higher up, maybe just in and around the 40s. I would probably have him if he was to dip into the second round, but I mean, though, that's just really nitpicking right there.
Yeah, I'm well aware that I am much lower on Dagenet than I think every other ranking I saw. Like I think you might have been the next lowest in the 40s or 30s or something like that. When coming down to the preference, I even mentioned this in the preamble.
Yeah.
I do not like his play off the puck. He was the one that I watched like 2 minutes of, and I could not watch anymore. I hated it. like where was he? He was always dragging behind. Sure, he's got a great shot, plays a power forward game. Where's the rest of it? And so if I'm picking a guy that I want to bank on, he is not one of them. I think there's so many more guys right now anyways who are more dynamic, who bring more to the table. One of which is a Saskatoon Blade, Zach Olson.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about him in a second. But I kind of was just looking for guys who I thought could make that impact. And although Dagenet wasn't one of them, some other guys were, like Jack Hextall, Wyatt Cullen. Victor Plant had some really good showings. Lots of really exciting players, even if it's maybe not the deepest draft class that we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. We might be looking back at this draft and seeing some guys that maybe weren't. When you say, it's weird when you say, "Is this draft strong?" It depends. I mean, we'll see how in the next few years of where it actually falls. But yeah, I mean, it's not as deep as we've talked about in previous ones. But we'll find out. All right. Well, you alluded that to you at Dayton, and we'll start with the WHL playoffs and some players to watch starting tonight. Games are, I believe, already starting now. So let's talk about a few of these players that we'll be watching over the next few weeks. Who are you watching?
Man, a lot. There's going to be a lot of great guys in the playoffs. Carson Karls is playing against the Spokane Chiefs. Going to try to get the Prince George Cougars into the playoff or deeper into the playoffs. I think they've got a great chance, along with him and Joshua Ravensbergen. Daxon Rudolph, he's playing with the East leading Prince Albert Raiders. Man, that's a train of a team. I think they're going to probably sweep the Red Deer Rebels, and they might sweep their next opponent too. They're really good, and Rudolph has been a big part of that. Michael Orsolak in goal, Brandon Gorzinski. They added Braden Coots. Mm-hmm. It's a nasty team. Everett, another, they're the leaders in the West. Landon DuPont has been fantastic after winning Rookie of the Year last year. He's not eligible for the draft until next year. One of those exceptional status kids. Yeah. But he deserves it. He's been very, very good. And then, I mean, I think if you've been following the WHL, you've paid attention to the Silver Tips. They have a stacked roster with Julius Miettinen, Carter Bear, and a 2026 eligible Matthias Vanhanen, who probably should have been drafted last year, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's here now, and he's putting up a ton of points. Tigers are another threat to finish first. The Ruck twins, Marcus and Liam, have been fantastic, but don't forget about their two defensemen, Jonas Wu and Bryce Pickford. Mm-hmm. They are leading the WHL in points for defensemen. And I believe Bryce Pickford had 40 goals at least, or was it more than that? He might have hit 50. Just an incredible defenseman. The Montreal Canadiens got I think they
45.
45. It was right in the middle. There we go. Had a 5 in it. That's my dyslexia there for you. I think they're going to sweep the Regina Pats too. The Pats are rebuilding, and they need some time to get back to that spot they were before. Those are probably the top guys. For the Blades, since I covered those, they're going to have a tough time against the Edmonton Oil Kings. Watch Zach Olson. Talked to the coach yesterday, or 2 days ago, sorry. And Dan DeSilva was saying that this kid is built for the playoffs. I completely agree. He is an aggressive, forechecking forward who, like I was talking about Pugachev, he's very noticeable every time he steps on the ice. High energy, high work ethic, and also some very good puck skills. He plays defense, he plays offense. He's a spark plug. He's going to change the flow of the game if he can kind of get into that swing of things and get some players playing with him. So that's somebody that the Oil Kings are going to have to watch out for. They do have some pretty good players coming back at them. Max Curran has been fantastic. Miroslav Holinka, they Leafs prospect. Parker Snell could be in net, but also they could be going with Ethan Simcoe. Both guys are up for the draft. I think Simcoe's an overager though. they've been equally dangerous this season. And then if they need somebody to rough someone up, they can go to Noah Ta'amu. He's been dangerous. Just a mean presence on the back end. Also a fun guy to watch, though. I think those are the top guys I'd be watching. There's a few others that I could mention, but I have taken up too much time already.
All right, Peter, did Dayton take everyone? You have anyone else that should be watching in the WHL?
I was going to talk about Miroslav Halenka, but you touched on him briefly. I feel like he is more of the underrated Maple Leaf prospects right now. And the fact that he had a massive jump from 45 points and nearly doubled that to 80, I think it's a big step for him as one of the leaders and go-to players for the Oil Kings. This is a guy that can do it all in any situation. Really like his dual, mindset of playmaking, goal scoring. He's a threat in basically in all three zones right now, even away from the puck. I feel like he's a big player to watch, especially. I know he's going up against, your Saskatoon Blades, but I feel like he's going to be a big, important player for them. Kind of surprised you didn't touch on Cameron Schmidt and TJ Ginla, so I'm going to touch on those guys or talk about them for a quick second. I mean, we were all high on Cameron Schmidt. We thought he should have been higher than a third rounder. Yeah. And, 51 goals at 100 points this year combined with Vancouver and Seattle. I mean, holy man. If there's one guy that's going to pop off in the playoffs, it's definitely going to be him. Same with TJ Ginla. I mean, he missed like a good quarter of the season and he had 90 points. Almost 2 points per game. I mean, that's kind of like Andrew Crystal type level production from last year. And, Kelowna, I believe, I'm almost 100% certain that Kelowna is hosting the Memorial Cup this year. So if they get an early exit, they will have enough rest and time to regroup and come back and battle hard. And I think he's going to be one of those guys to lead the way, obviously. I also do want to touch briefly on the league leading over Everett Silvertips. There are a ton of players that you can easily pick off from and talk about it. You already mentioned Matthias Vanhanen, Carter Bear, Julius Miettinen, who had a really strong World Junior Championship, Landon DuPont as well. They're just so well balanced, be it up front, on the back end. I mean, you would probably expect some of these guys to have over 80 points, but the only one is Vanhanen. And everyone else has 70 points. And that's kind of like attributes to their well-balanced attack and even play from the back end as well, with DuPont having 73 points, Terrence Smith, 71. So, yeah, I feel like they're the ones, because they're the top seed, they're the ones that everyone's chasing right now. But then again, you got Medicine Hat with the Ruck Twins and the way that they're trying to repeat as, WHL champs. It's definitely going to be a good battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll obviously be watching Braden Coots because he could be in the NHL next season with the Canucks, and he's been on fire since joining Prince Albert. And I was surprised he's not playing a top role there. He's I believe the last game he was on the third line. So that's just testament to their depth as well. And Coots is going to be a big part of their playoff run, I believe. And he's been really good. And there was a little bit of an injury scare. I believe it was a few weeks ago where he hit an open door on the bench, but he's back and he's okay. So that kind of scared me for a second. Like, I want to see him in the playoffs. I don't want to be out now. So he's going to be a big part of whatever Prince Albert does. They got a whole ton of great players, and we're going to see how far they can go. All right, now moving to the OHL playoffs. I'll start with you, Peter. What are you looking at there? Again, tons of draft eligibles.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the main thing to look at right now. Where do I'm just going to start off with, the top dogs, literally top dogs, the Brantford Bulldogs. Just because that they are the team to beat because of how deep they are with the kind of roster that they have and they've assembled for this kind of reason. They are absolutely stacked from top to bottom. When you have guys like, Adam Benak, Jake O'Brien, Caleb Malhotra, Marek Vanaker. Those are the guys that are leading the way, but you got great depth behind them. Guys like Charlie Paquette, Aiden O'Donnell as well. I believe he's another draft eligible player this year. Jet Lachenko, Ryder Bolton. This is a team that wants to do a whole lot of damage, and they're literally going to do it. And on the back end, they're just as equally strong. Adam Juracek, Ben Danford, Vladimir Dravecki. This team is, if they don't win, I am going to be really surprised. And let's not forget that they have Alexander Karmenov, who's 7 feet, 265 pounds as well. So you got another hulking defender on that blue line right there. Yeah, I feel like this is the team to beat, but you can't overlook like what other teams are going to do. You know, there's the Kitchener Rangers. They're pretty balanced top to bottom. The way that, you know, you've had guys like Jack Pridham step up, Sam O'Reilly ever since being traded from London to Kitchener, strong rivals between the two as well. Tanner Lamb has looked great as well. Luca Romano, Cameron Reed on the back end. There are a lot of, you know, very versatile threats for them that they're the reason why they're the only team behind the Bulldogs that can make a significant impact in these playoffs. Obviously, a good matchup I'm looking at is Sioux Greyhounds and the London Knights. It is game 1, 2-1, Sioux leading the way. Jackson Cover has the goal for London. Brady Martin already has an assist, and Lucas Fisher with the goal as well. Big time leaders for that team as well. And let's not forget Cameron Reed on the back end, the ultimately top defender right now for the NHL draft. He's going to be on full display. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be more competition in the WHL than there is in the OHL. I feel like you kind of have an expectation on who could win in the O. I mean, I'm even looking at the scores right now. Brantford's already up 1-0. With a few guys that I mentioned, Charlie Paquette, Vladimir Dravecki assisting on Cooper Dennis's goal. The Peterborough Petes, I wouldn't count them out as well. Obviously, you're looking at Adam Novotny on the Petes to make a significant impact, but, you know, they've got other guys that can step up in a big way. So there are a lot of, obviously, you watch the top names, but there are going to be a lot of underdogs and teams that you may sleep on a bit, even though they're very, very well balanced and could definitely make a threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you say, there's lots of OHL talent that's projected to be drafted in the first round too. So we're going to be watching a lot of these guys. I mean, obviously there are some that didn't make the playoffs, unfortunately, but there's quite a few that are in here. Dayton, you have anyone that you want to point out?
You caught me off guard with Karmenov. I did not know he was 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
That's huge.
That's what OHL listed him as, and he's definitely looking like a 7-foot defender. Definitely
born in Moldova.
Yeah, definitely going to surpass Chara if he ever makes the NHL.
Yeah, I think he should play at least one game just to do it.
Yeah.
As for guys I'm watching, a couple of draft eligibles that I think are really fantastic. Nikita Klepov. He's a fun player to watch. I understand that there's concerns about his all-around game, but in the place that I ranked him, everyone has concerns about all-around game. And I think he's got just a really dynamic skill set. I'm going to be watching if he can do any damage against the Kitchener Rangers, playing with the Saginaw Spirit there. You already mentioned Malhotra. He's going to be really interesting to watch, especially with the very powerful Brantford Bulldogs. Adam Novotny, he was one of my favorites from the draft. I put him 12th in my ranking. He's a really, intense, hardworking player. Those are my favorite, especially ones that can skate too. He's lots of fun to watch. And who are they playing again? North Bay. North Bay seems to be scaring him a little bit. So I hope he gets into the second round. He's players like that are really fun to watch in the playoffs. Those would be the top guys, I think, that I'd be watching. But like you said, lots of talent here. Some guys didn't quite make it, but just it's going to be a fun playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of top talent that's playing, and we'll see how they all kind of go. But yeah, OHL, of course, has already started. They're into day 2 of their. I mean, there are some series that are starting as we're recording, but yeah, we'll see how that all plays out, and yeah, it should be fun to watch everyone. All right, finally, the QMJHL, and what should we always forget about this league? I mean, not saying it's not a great league. There are a lot of good players in here too, and there are some interesting ones for the draft as well. So I'll start with you, Dayton. Anyone from the Q that you're watching in the playoffs here?
I am first of all watching the Chicoutimi Saguenese. I always forget how to pronounce that. There's too many vowels for my English tongue to figure out. Sanguinines, I think. Anyways, Chicoutimi, Lucas Beckman, trade deadline acquisition. He's got a stat line like Austin Elliott got last year with the London Knights.
Mm-hmm.
He has 13 wins, 1 loss, and 4 shutouts in 15 games. That gives him a .940 save percentage and a goal, or 1.52 goals against average heading into the playoffs. And he's on a team that has been incredibly strong as well. Maxime Massé is leading the league with 51 goals and 102 points. That's going to be somebody you got to watch. He's an Anaheim Ducks pick. And then, was there someone else? Thomas Desrousseau. I believe he was a draft prospect last year. Or a couple of years ago, actually. Sorry. Never really took that full next step, but he finished with 76 points this year, 24 goals. He's going to be somebody to watch too. I'm forgetting names. Sorry. Shilov? Yegor Shilov with the Victoriaville Tigers. Sorry, I'm flipping around here. Yeah, they're in. Playing Blainville Bois-Brillant. He was like Klepov for me. I thought they were very good puck handlers. They were really dynamic when they could control that offensive pressure. He's going to be really interesting to watch when the playoffs start here for them. They haven't played a game yet. And then Tommy Blale.
Yes.
With the Moncton Wildcats. I debated about putting him higher than I did. He's quickly rising up the charts. He finished with 81 points as a defenseman. Already incredible. And they're going to have a tougher time against St. John, but we'll have to see. It's going to be a fun series there. Last guy I will mention is somebody I really liked last year. Didn't get drafted. Philip Vaillant. I think it was just because he was 5'10", but listen, he had 87 points last year, 40 goals, 87 points, and he wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
Because he's small, why would you not at least give him a mid-round pick to see how it goes? Because this year he has 96 points and 43 goals. He's taking the next step. That's giving Waldorf a really dangerous person up front, and they could make some noise in the playoffs here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we just keep talking about smaller guys, and they always seem to get drafted lower or not drafted at all. And then all of a sudden we see them later on, and we're like, oh, why weren't they given more appreciation? But yeah, it's just going to be every draft we'll talk about it. All right, Peter, you have anyone that you want to talk about here?
Before we get into that, the way Dayton, had that pause, I thought I was going to wait for the how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man, from SpongeBob right there, about smaller players getting the respect that they deserve. I'm glad you brought up Tommy Blale, because he was going to be the guy that I wanted to talk about too. Again, I agree. He is 100% on the rise. He has just been absolutely lethal offensively. Great puck mover, great hockey sense on the back end, and great mobility and awareness when he has the puck too. I think he's going to be a very early second round pick. Could he push first round territory, especially if that hot play continues into the postseason. We'll see. The Moncton Wildcats were, I believe, the top team. So let's see what happens there. But my focus is going to be on Blainville Boisbriand, more so for their drafted prospects. I really liked Matteo Nobert last year. Obviously, big Justin Carbonell fan, even bigger Bill Zonin fan. I was on the Bill Zonin train in November, December, and he just kept rising, and he was a first rounder for me. So that's a great pick for the Pittsburgh Penguins right there. I know no doubt that all three of those guys are going to be relied on heavily to lead the charge offensively, especially Carbonell with, the creativity and the high end skill that he possesses, the power forward game that Zonin has, and the two-way play that Nobert brings. But mainly it's going to be Xavier Villeneuve. Not for it's because of the fact that it's not that he had a bad year. It's just he missed half of it because I believe he was dealing with an injury. He only played in 37 games, but was still a point per game as a result of that. Trying to see. Sorry, I'm just trying to filter everything. Didn't get a whole lot. Yeah, the last time he played was early January and missed that whole entire month, missed the whole month of February and even March as well. He came back for just one game, but he had 2 points in that one game, 2 assists. So you're wondering if that confidence could build up and basically push him a little bit further up in that draft rankings, and especially in the lottery territory, where maybe he's just outside that top 16, but could push his way in, especially if he's very dynamic and creative. And we talk about smaller defenders, aka the Hudsons, Cole and Lane, how maybe they should not have been drafted as low as they have been, but now there's still all this talk around Xavier Villeneuve and how dynamic he is on the back end. And there are times too where maybe, his size does come into effect, but I believe he does handle himself a little bit more. And because of the smaller guys, because they're quick and agile, they can get out of situations very quick. So if he's able to have a strong postseason, I feel like he's going to solidify himself as a top 15 player.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You're looking at these smaller players, and it's just Lane Hudson, one of the best defensemen in the league. Cole Hudson looks pretty good in his first few games already in the NHL with the Capitals. I mean, they're just, you can go up and down. Logan Stankoven, perfect. Another example that a drafted, he was a second round pick, but I still believe he should have been a first rounder. It's just, and Cameron Schmidt, I think, is going to end up being that type of player as well, coming into the NHL for the Dallas Stars, who had Logan Stankoven as well. Yeah. they don't sleep on young players. They don't sleep on smaller players. They're right on it. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see some of these other smaller guys, how they end up playing in the NHL. But a lot of them seem to be fine with it. So I don't know why NHL scouts and GMs and still hesitate on getting these guys higher in the draft, but it is what it is. All right. Well, thanks, Peter and Dayton, for coming on, talking prospects as always. The draft, we're closer and closer by the day. We got the draft lottery as set for May 5th, I believe it is. So we're getting close to that, and we'll see who wins. Ultimately wins. Everyone's saying the Canucks are going to end up picking third, even though they have the best odds. But whatever, we'll see what happens.
I will say we've seen some stranger things happen with the lottery in recent years. So
yeah, I really like the idea of them bringing the gold plan into the NHL. PWHL does it. Yeah, it prevents tanking, but it also allows it keeps competitive at the end of the season too, where the bad teams are still trying to win to build up the points to get the first overall pick. It's no lottery. So that could be a debate for an episode. We can talk about that. But
some differing opinions, I think.
Yeah, there will be for sure. I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think Bettman would go for it, but well, we will see how it all goes. But yeah, make sure to check out everything at thehockeywriters.com. We got great articles throughout the site. Lots of profiles already out there. We're closing in, I believe, on 50 already.
Closing in on 30.
30. So I mean, we're well on our way. We're the draft guide's been live for a couple weeks, I believe now. So check that out. We've got lots of rankings already out there too. and lots of prospect features will be coming out and more prospect profiles as the weeks go on. So keep an eye out on that draft guide, bookmark it, and keep checking it out. And the Substack, which will keep you up to date throughout every day that they're out as well. But until our next episode, we will see you next time.